This is WCM's Park Update, a weekly show covering the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. During each episode, you'll hear from special guests and campground experts on topics that will help your park flourish. WCM's Park Update is a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Hi, I'm Ben Quiggle, editor of Woodall's Campground Magazine, and this is another episode of WCM's Park Update, which is sponsored by Spot Tonight. And, of course, my esteemed colleague is here, Mike Gast, founder, president, CEO, COO of the Emola Group. Is that right? Or Emola?
So close.
So close. Yeah.
Emola Group. Yeah, it's got to use the Hawaiian alphabet.
I know. I've never been to Hawaii, so it's a little hard for me. And our guest today is Joey Locker, the developer of Locker's Southern View Luxury Motorcoach Resort near Nashville, Tennessee, kind of the greater Nashville, Tennessee area. He's building the park with 3 other business partners, but you guys are expecting to break ground this summer, right?
Yes. Yeah, okay. We are. So working through permitting as we speak.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I know we've had a couple stories up about the planned development on our website, woodallcm.com. And it's pretty exciting. I know you guys kind of saw the niche, I guess, in this area for like a luxury motor coach resort. I know we've seen some across the country, but maybe not here in the Tennessee area.
Yeah. This started out as 5 acres by the lake that I wanted the lake life without the lake life cost. And whenever I just started researching about potentially buying 5 acres by the lake and putting a couple fifth wheels out there and boats, I was actually speaking to a friend's family about that. And they were basically saying, they're like, oh, well, we love that idea because we own 2 lots in Las Vegas Motorcoach Club and resort. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you own 2 lots? And they were like, yeah, we bought our first one for just north of 200,000, and then they bought their second one for just north of 350. And I was like, I'm blown away. I was like, I didn't understand what they were talking about. And they were like, oh, yeah, they told me about it. I started Googling it. And when you look at the bigger picture of it, it was Las Vegas Motorcoach Resort was 40 acres, 406 lots, have an HOA of 575. Lots are going from 160 up to like 1.3 million. And I was just I was blown away. I didn't know this world even existed at that time. And I grew up camping. But didn't know that there was a higher echelon of what was going on. So from that day forward, I was just obsessed with that world and what was going on. And then just kept looking at the bigger picture of it, of actually where these resorts were located around the country. And then you realize that at first, when I looked at it, I was categorizing, there was less than 100 in the United States. And then when you really get into it, there's maybe 45 that are really in this category. And then when you break it down even further into the Class A and Super C, the really luxury resorts, there's maybe 10 to 15 in the country. And there wasn't one within 300 miles of Nashville, Tennessee. And I was like, why? Like, that makes no sense. And during those times, you start they say you start noticing more and more things. And one of the things I noticed is you saw more of these coaches sitting in parking lots around Nashville than you saw them in these resorts. And I was like, right there, like, what's going on? Why isn't this here yet? And I thought that I was like, well, I must be on the forefront of realizing what opportunity we have here. And every day, I think the day that I really started to put some pen to paper on this, the first thing I did was Google, how do you build an RV resort? And it kind of took on a life of its own. And I knew from my background in construction and being a part of large developments through my career that I wasn't going to be able to do this on my own. And there was no point on doing it on my own anyways. You need to build out a team. So I luckily had a good mentor years ago that, for lack of better words, basically told me I need to stop worrying so much about money and worry about the plan first. And he was like, put together a good plan, and then the money's just going to follow behind you with that. So I put the plan together and started getting the team together. The biggest thing was when I was Googling how to build an RV resort, I didn't realize there are companies out there that are building RV parks and RV resorts around there. And that those teams come with a complete CapEx and your financial plans that go along with it. So you weren't really recreating the wheel there. And then other pieces of puzzle, like the biggest one I think in this was the sell side of this, because who's selling RV resorts? I mean, who's selling RV lots? How is that kind of happening? And I interviewed, I finally counted, I interviewed 48 different real estate agents through Nashville trying to see who could sell this. And no one could figure out exactly how to kind of sell this. And luckily, through my research, because I believe you can find out anything from Google, YouTube, or a podcast. I was following a podcast of a couple, Lisa and Richard Hernandez, and Lisa owns a brokerage and she sells RV lots, and they travel around the country to these different resorts. And so I finally got the courage to reach out to her and was like, hey, I'm considering doing this plan in Nashville. We really need a good way to sell all this. And her and her husband were so over the moon happy because they'd loved Nashville. They'd wanted to move here already. And she, for years, was like, I don't understand why Nashville doesn't have this. So it kind of just worked out.
Yeah.
Kind of brought the team together.
Yeah.
So Joey,
one second. Some of the details are kind of interesting. It's going to be 285 sites. You're expecting to have 193 done within a year, like by summer 2025. And you're going to have everything that, you would expect out of a luxury resort, a big clubhouse, swimming pools, hot tubs, things like that. I do have a couple pictures. Here, let me share my screen. We have a couple pictures of what the resort, I don't know. I think you guys can see that. This is like a site with a beautiful patio area. It looks like you got your fire ring. The renderings are awesome. I mean, really good detail on what the sites are going to look like. Just kind of creating those community spaces. It looks like you have a grills with each one and a nice fireplace. If we go back, whoa, there's scrolling. You see more details on some of these sites.
Yeah, those are the newest ones there.
Yeah,
that we just got back.
So Joey, where do you go to start looking for land around Nashville? Then you had to go out 20 some miles. Was that intentional? Was that as far out as you wanted to be?
No. So when I had the idea, I made a buy box, basically criteria over what I wanted out of the land. And I'm a big boating. The lake is my kind of life in the summer. I believe some of the greatest people are on the lake. So I wanted to be around water. So I needed a minimum of 40 acres. Because at first I was like, I'm just going to do what Las Vegas and everyone else kind of did. Don't recreate the wheel. Go off of their numbers, off of how many lots you needed to do to be able to have all this. And I needed 40 acres. I needed it to be on water and as close to Nashville as possible. And this actually started out in Nashville. I found property in Nashville, about 130 acres on the water. But going through that process, I didn't just go out and say, hey, I know I got a good idea. Here's the plan. I went out to the community first and asked the community leaders, met with economic directors, some of the mayors, and some of the leaders in each county to see if they even liked the idea. Davidson County, where Nashville is, liked the idea, but then they were like, hey, here's this whole list of hoops you need to jump through for the next 3 or 4 years before we'll take you serious on stuff. And that's just what Nashville has become. It's so much construction going on, so much growth that it's kind of hard to get in there to build something like this. So going out to where we are in Cheatham County, very country, very river focused. I mean, the river runs right through the town. It's very gorgeous, that entire route up there. And they've done a really good job of keeping it country instead of allowing Nashville to come up the river.
Yeah, and I like you still have connections to Nashville. I think in one of the articles you mentioned a shuttle will be available to take guests to Nashville to attend do all the things down there. And then I think what was really neat was in Jeff's piece, he talks about some of the neat like features you have on the site. You have like 2 archaeological sites, I guess.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit more about those, I guess.
So there's 2 sites on there. One dates back. We have not found the exact time frame yet, because since it's on private property, this has never actually been studied. It's been looted a lot, but it's never actually been studied. But that one dates back anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 years old. That basically there's a shell midden over there where the Cumberland River used to produce shell life, mussels and just different snails and stuff like that. So instead of being farmers, they were fishermen. They would clean out the mussels or all the shell life, eat it, and then pile up the shells. So you've got about a half an acre where this basically shell mounds where over thousands of years they were cleaning out the mussel shells and then throwing the shells over there. So instead of destroying that, I'm a history buff. I love just the way people used to live off the land and honoring that. So going in and protecting that, telling that history, because like I said, it's only been looted for the last few years or the last decades, where people been back there and took backhoes or been back there digging, doing drugs and all that go along with it. But we'll turn it into a boardwalk park that will tell that history as you're kind of walking through it so you can learn about it. And then the second one is one that we more recently found about. It dates back to probably the early 1700s. So in that area, that main road that cuts down in front of us is called as River Road. It's Highway 251. Before that road was there, where our property sits was a community in that area at one time. We've got an old cistern that sits up on top of the property where there was some foundations of some houses that were through there. And the rumors are that across the road from us was an old post office, an old hotel that was over there. And then when they put in that road, it kind of destroyed that housing community that was over there. So it was that where we are on the river, we found some old old stone blocks for foundations that are down by the river because it was a shipping port right there. People would offload into the dry storages, and then we have what we thought was berms being cut in there with previous owners. But what people have really said is it's actually wagon wheel trails that were cut in over just decades of going back and forth to the river.
So let's talk about the river for a second, Joey.
Yeah.
You've got sites that are right on the Cumberland River. Is this sort of a combination marina access type campground also?
So on the one side of the property, so you have the Cumberland River that runs in front of us, and then there's a little creek that runs off the side of it there's potential for a marina in that area, because with the Cumberland River, to have a marina, it has to be off the main channel. You can have little docks, but if you're going to have a marina, so that little Pond Creek area has the potential to do a marina in the future. It just has to be dredged, because all the years of just debris kind of flowing into it has caused just trees and all kinds of stuff that's been in there. But we've talked to some marina companies that have been interested in long-term play to potentially do it and like a later.
You mentioned before we started, when you were talking about how far away you are from Nashville, you mentioned the driving time, but you also mentioned on the water. So yeah, there would be access for folks with boats eventually to go all the way down to Nashville.
Oh yeah, we'll do. I mean, you got to think the Titans games and concerts and all that. We'll be able to do sunset cruises down there, or morning cruises down to the stadium or the concerts and everything, and then take a shuttle back at night.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break for a second to recognize our sponsor, Spot Tonight, and then we will be back to talk with Joey a little bit more.
Supercharge your campground bookings with Spot Tonight, the #1 commission-free OTA for RV parks and campgrounds. Through integrations with top property management systems, Spot Tonight displays real-time outdoor accommodation inventory with a marketplace where campers can search for and instantly book campsites. Best of all, it's 100% free for operators. Visit partners.spottonight.com to get listed and unlock access to over 60 million campers.
Hi, welcome back to WCM's Park Update, and we are speaking with Joey Locker, the developer of Locker's Southern View Luxury Motor Coach Resort, which is set to be located in the greater Nashville area and open hopefully by summer 2025. And we're just talking a little bit about the resort before the break. I guess, Joey, you mentioned at the beginning of the show how you had kind of a mentor, a business mentor. You kind of connected with maybe some consultants or other people in the industry. Did you ever have you connected with park owners or, people who have done this in the past? I know you mentioned the Las Vegas Motor Coach Resort. Have you been out there to see what they're doing, I guess?
I've seen them all. I still have what I call a 9 to 5. Basically, I work for a company called Latticrete International. We manufacture thin sets and grouts, and I run a sales division for them for the Southeast. So I've got about 6 states that I cover for the sales division for them. But through all this process, I travel so much. So while I'm doing work, I'm also jumping in and looking at other resorts and everything. So from Mountain Falls, Motor Coach Country Club, Las Vegas, Polston, Homestead, a ton of them in Florida, Key West, RV resort. So and one of my big things was when I mentioned earlier is like, I don't have to recreate the wheel here. Find these people that have done this, talk to them, figure out what they've done and how they kind of did it. And that's what I started doing, is calling these owners. And I recently got to talk to the owners of Polston. There's one out in Creede, Colorado. I got to talk to the developer there about it, and just they basically gave all their information. It was kind of crazy that sometimes you're worried about picking up the phone and calling a multimillionaire or a billionaire, and you're just like, oh, I can't call them. And finally, I was like, man, these are just people. Just what are they going to say? What's the worst they can say? No, I don't want to talk to you. And an overwhelming majority of these would talking to me and we're like, oh man, this is a great idea. They actually sold me on it because of what they've done and what the possibilities are in this sector.
So Joey, are you going to have some transient sites here too for folks that just want to come and go?
Yep, we'll have roughly anywhere. Probably we'll keep around 50 to 60 lots of our own to have transient sites, have people come in and be able to rent on the overnight basis and whatnot. But all the owners will also be able to put their lots into a rental program for when they're not there as well.
Okay, and what kind of staffing do you anticipate having?
As far as we'll have a someone that always planning events, because you'll have an event calendar that has something on it basically daily. You'll have your front concierge service for your check-in. That'll run the camp store and everything. We'll have a few other maintenance staff as well on staff for your groundskeeping and stuff like that. Then restaurant staff as well that we'll have in phase 2.
So
go ahead, Ben.
Yep. Are you planning on managing this yourself then, or what? Or are you
no way?
Okay.
Like I said, it's a part of the team, and don't recreate the wheel of trying to manage this. Part of the consultant firms we've been talking with, they have a management side of their business, so they're going to come in and be third-party management for this and kind of keep doing exactly what they've done from the beginning of helping me bring this to life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, third-party management has become a huge thing in the industry,
but still new. But still relatively new. And there's a lot of companies out there that have said they can do this, and that's kind of been one of the headaches that you kind of run into. Is it seems easy on paper, but when it comes down to it, there's a lot of intricacies that I'm very, very happy that my partners and all decided to do the management service instead of like, oh, we can do this. We knew we could, but the headaches that come along with that and trying to recreate, like they know what they're doing. Don't mess that up. Just enhance their capabilities is kind of our goal.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
So do you have all your contractors lined up already, Joey? Are they ready to roll?
Yep. So that's one of the good things about this is since I've been in the construction industry, since that was what I got my degree in college was construction management. And being in this for the last 15 years or so, I've made all the contacts from your grading guys to your verticals to any of that. And being friends with a lot of these, I've been able to get their insights as well about if we're doing things correctly and all that. So I've got a good crew of people that are going to be able to help.
So what's a typical site going to look like there? What does the campground going to provide, size wise and everything?
So each lot is going to be roughly 3,200 square foot, which is I think 65 by 49 and a half roughly on the lots. Each lot will have your paver parking lot pad. You'll have an apron to get in that will kind of make look the same throughout the resort, and then there'll be a minimum package on on the for sale ones that will have a paver package and then a minimum pavilion package that we're offering as well. Because the last thing we want to do, and this is where talking to some of the other owners gave me ideas on this, was when they first started these resorts back in the early 2000s, they were just trying to sell the lots instead of kind of build the community and let the rest of it come around. So they would sell 20 lots off to one person, and that person would sit on so many lots before that value would go up, and then they would sell it. So unfortunately, some of these places still have undeveloped lots, and we're trying to avoid that. So if you come in and buy, you have to develop on it, or you're basically selling it back to us for your cost that you put into it.
And I guess what does that developing on a site look like? I guess what does that mean?
So each lot will have an option with a 400 to 500 square foot pavilion with outdoor kitchen package. There's a fireplace package. There are some of your heating elements that you'll be able to put around fire rings and stuff. Some water features, and then landscaping package as well.
Okay.
And have you got a price list figured out yet?
Yeah, roughly. So right now we're finishing up some of the renderings that I just sent over to you guys. We got a lot of the back end pricing now for all of our pavers and all the stuff that's going in there. So we're slowly getting those packages put together, but your basic package will start around $75K. And then we've had a couple of people that talked about, I could see some people getting on up there when they start playing the Joneses in some of these areas. I don't know if y'all know that reference, like the movie The Joneses. Yeah. So one person doesn't want anything, like, oh, I'm going to do something bigger. I'll do something bigger or whatever. So that's I don't think that's a bad thing. Y'all go ahead.
So I know in the article you mentioned, you're building a resort to appeal to RVers who are 55 and over. Do you see people who are younger taking advantage of this resort, or do you just expect the older generations, I guess, to kind of be more appealed to this style of RV resort?
Oh no, I think we'll get people from all categories from it. It's just typically that in your luxury luxury world with a class A and your super C's, you're typically a seasoned RVer, and the lifestyle is a little bit more expensive. So that's where it tends to go for the 55 and up. But we'll definitely have your families that have been downgrading from the housing world and bought a brand new class A and just travel around the country in it as well. So you'll see a good demographic across it. It's just with the cost of all this, typically you see it in the 55 and up that are more drawn.
Now you mentioned, Joey, that finding the right real estate partner was a real challenge. Where do you go fishing for people that are have the ability to buy into this?
So the good thing is the crowd that are typically buying in this, they're a niche crowd. They're not, since they are the class A and super C people, they're hanging out in the same kind of groups in Facebook and stuff like that. So you don't have to do as much broad reach and try to find everyone. You target it because there's tons of Facebook groups out now where most of your owners who own in multiple resorts are in these groups because they're trading these lots and moving from one lot to another. I know some resorts, I think the one down in Alabama and Gulf Shores Heritage, someone told me that since 2012, every lot in there, and they've got like 70 something lots, has been sold 6 different times. So these are people will come stay for a couple years and sell it, move to a new one, and it just kind of keeps changing hands. Instead of, hey, this is my house for 30 years, it's typically a couple years situation.
Did you do
So
any type of research as to whether there is a demand for like deeded kind of sites like this in the area that you're building the resort?
Yeah, I started calling people who were living this lifestyle and like, hey, what do you think about a resort in Nashville? Like, so the groups that I was in on Facebook, I messaged some of the people that had pictures of their coach or I knew owned a lot in another place. I was like, hey, consider doing this in Nashville. What are your thoughts? And it was an overwhelming yes. I don't think I had a single person that said Nashville would be a bad idea from it. So I was like, it was talking to people in this category, and that's what's really drawn me to doing resorts in this, because there's so many good people in the outdoor world. Like it's overwhelmingly good people, and they're all willing to help in some way or fashion. So just reaching out has been the thing that I was scared for at first, but now that I've started talking to everyone, I mean, now some of these people that I know are going to buy in there have become close friends that I'm doing outside work for them as well.
Yeah, yeah. And people can learn more about your resort at lsvmotorcoachresort.com. I guess, and this is going to be a year-round park, right? It's going to be open year-round? Okay.
I mean, Nashville gets a little bit of snow from here and there, like a week, but nothing that really kind of destroys stuff for a couple of months that you can't come in and whatnot. So we'll be year-round.
How far along in the construction process do you have to be before you start selling sites? Are you like selling them right now, even before the construction process begins, or are you going to wait until like later in the year to start selling sites, I guess?
No, so we'll start a reservation. We'll do it in basically two different time frames. So basically, we'll do a reservation list, which will open up to let everyone put a $5,000 deposit if you want to choose which lot that you want. And then once we have the construction schedule finalized, we'll convert those over into the pre-sale side of stuff with that, so that we're not holding on to a large chunk of change of people without knowing the end construction date.
So let's go way down the road, Joey. Is this a one and done, or is this?
Oh, no way! I got number 2 already in the works. I'm driving 2 hours on Thursday to actually potentially finalize a deal for resort number 2. So. Wow. There's just when I say there's an open opportunity in America right now for this, it's so big. And no matter if there's 100 people that jump into this tomorrow, there's still room for it, because middle America is wide open and middle America is growing. There's more things that are coming for people to travel around the United States. We're one of the easiest geography countries, because we can get from east to west really easily. So people are constantly traveling, and with the boom of the RV world in general, that means the top class keeps growing too, because more people are falling in love with outdoors and recreation and kind of transitioning from your travel trailer and then the fifth wheel and then the class A's and are staying in this lifestyle. So there's so much open room, and with the type of response that we've had in Nashville to this, that's what my partners are like, oh, you weren't kidding. This is a big opportunity. So
yeah.
Mountain Falls. I don't know if y'all have looked into that one much, but I think Mountain Falls Luxury Motorcoach Resort in Lake Toxaway, North Carolina, is the pinnacle of anything luxury motorcoach resort. They've got lots at on their ridge. They're going for $3.3 million. It's got a coach house up there, but yeah. I love their coach house community that they have up there. So we believe we can do that in resort number 2, because resort number 2, yeah, that's it. I mean, this place is mind boggling. I think they have the highest concentration of Prevost in the entire United States.
Yeah. Here, oh, that's a video. We don't want to do video. Video doesn't work well. No, yeah. But anyways, yeah. I mean, this place looks awesome too. I mean, it's incredible. I guess is as we get ready to wrap up the show, is the economy any concern for you at this point? Interest rates are people stop maybe buying things down the road. Is that a concern for you or not?
In a sense, and I try to tread lightly around this question and whatnot, because I don't want to make it sound bad. But typically in down times in the economies like this, the upper class are making more money, and they aren't really getting hurt as much as your middle class and your lower class. A lot of times they are capitalizing off of these down times and kind of really spending. So the group, and that's part of the asset class of getting into the Class A and the Super C side of this, is they're not typically hit by a downturn in all these times, so not as worried about it. But if the world blows up, then we're all screwed. But that's something I can't control, so I try not to worry about that on it. And then with the interest rates and everything, I had a good mentor that told me that to not worry about the interest rates, because that's something you really can't control. You need to control the spread above that interest rate of how much you're actually making, and that's the focus on it. So you just have to make sure the numbers work well. And luckily, with the way we're doing things, we'll be north of any kind of interest rates that we're hitting, and they are not cheap right now. Because this being such a unique class, you don't have your typical banks just, hey, yeah, I'll fund this, because I like most people, the first 10, 20 minutes of a meeting is me really explaining this world and really showing that this actually exists. Like a good video to really, or a good picture I'd show to really explain this world is if you if you Google RV with Bugatti, there is a $7.4 million RV out there that has a Bugatti that comes up underneath it. And that just, people are like, oh, okay, that's the kind of world this is. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know it existed either. But now they make them with Porsches under them. Now they can get a smart car put on the back end. Like they're getting nuts. We're
doing lots of screen shares. There's the Bugatti. That can go underneath your Class A. I think that's Mike's next purchase right there. So
I got a spot for you to park it, buddy.
You reincarnated something else.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Joey, for coming on and talking about the resort. Again, it's Locker Southern View Luxury Motorcoach Resort. You plan to have it open by the summer of 2025, and people can learn more at lsvmotorcoachresort.com. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us about your development and all the work you've done. And it's exciting, and hopefully things progress well, and you can even get that second resort going here pretty soon.
So that's it.
So Ben, let's commit to going down there and once he's open and doing a show from there.
Oh, I got a spot for y'all. It'd be a great place to do it.
Yeah, you can pick me up in that Class A we just showed off.
There you go.
You can go down there.
Pull that up to the airport and pick people up.
But it was great talking with you, Joey, and thanks everyone for watching, and we will be back again next week.
Thank you for listening to WCM's Park Update, a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Join us for a new show each Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for daily news and updates, and subscribe to our news feed on our website at woodallscm.com. Show hosts are Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. Executive producers Rick Kessler and Alex Burkett. Copyright 2022, G&G Media Group.